Here's more wrestling news for May 5th, 2023, and we're starting today with Drew McIntyre, whose current contract with WWE will come to an end later this year, and it's been said that he and the company are struggling to come to terms and his creative. It's been confirmed that McIntyre's deal won't expire until the end of this year, but WWE has already begun distancing themselves from the Scottish Warrior. On WWE.com, McIntyre has been removed from the page promoting July's Money in the Bank event, which will take place this July in Wembley Stadium in London, England. Given that this is a UK event, you'd expect that Drew would be one of the big names confirmed, so the fact that he has been pulled has certainly raised some eyebrows. While McIntyre has been removed from the page, the fans in the UK won't be missing out, as on the site page, Roman Reigns has been added to the advertising in his place. McIntyre and Reigns headlined Clash at the Castle in Cardiff last September in what was a huge night for the UK fans, but those same fans shouldn't expect the former WWE champion this July at Money in the Bank. But what do you think Drew should do? Should he sign a new deal with WWE or try his hand in another promotion? Let us know what you think in the comments. Earlier this week, Philip A. Thomas, the man who attempted to kidnap Sonya Deville, was sentenced to 15 years in prison and another 15 years of probation after that. Thomas broke into the home of Deville in 2020 and waited in the house for hours until Sonya fell asleep, and possibly would have succeeded in his plot if not for the home alarm. His sentence marks the end of a lengthy legal process for Deville, and taking to Instagram, the SmackDown superstar shared her first thoughts following his sentencing. She said, "Thank you to everyone who has reached out today. After almost 3 years, we finally got some closure last week. I am happy and healthy and have amazing people by my side. To say it's over feels odd, but I am beyond grateful for the support and help I received over the past 3 years from Tampa PD, to everyone in the courts, attorneys, friends, security, and so many more. I have a lot to say pertaining this situation, which I feel can help a lot of people in similar situations now that the legalities are over. But for now, thank you." Deville was at her home with Mandy Rhodes at the time of the incident and was granted months off of TV before she chose to return as an authority figure in December 2020. Hopefully, Deville will now be able to move on from this terrifying ordeal, and our best wishes are with her throughout this monumental week. When Cody Rhodes returned to WWE, his grand comeback came just days after the release of WWE 2K22, so it was hardly surprising that fans were excited to see him added to the game. Despite fans hoping that Rhodes would make it in as part of DLC, that didn't happen, and according to Cody himself, fans have him to blame. In an interview with comicbook.com, Rhodes explained that while he and 2K were in talks about him being added, he was super petty about his in-game character and what his rating would be in the game. Cody explained that he is always on my guard, as many at 2K who worked with him as Stardust will know, and said that his cosmic character was a big loser. Cody didn't make it as an official character in 2K22, but did appear in this year's WWE 2K23, and it just shows how protective Cody is and concerned about returning to his Stardust days. For years, Danny Burch was part of the WWE NXT roster, but long before he was teaming with the likes of Oney Lorcan, he had an underwhelming first run on the Gold brand. After signing a developmental contract in 2011, Burch made his NXT debut in 2013, but would last on TV for less than a year before his release. Speaking to Bobby Fish on the Undisputed podcast, though, Burch admitted that he wasn't hurt by being released from the biggest wrestling company in the world, and he instead found it a blessing. He explained, "It just wasn't working because of my mindset and how unhappy I was. I was relieved it was over. At that point, I was so unhappy I was like, I don't know if I even want to do this anymore." Thankfully, Burch was able to overcome this crisis of confidence and would return to WWE in 2015, where he'd remained for over 6 years before being released from his backstage role in January 2022. While WWE has brought back several names since then, Burch hasn't been among them, but his story shows that being cut from WWE doesn't have to be the end of the world. Over to Impact now, as Trinity Fatu made her debut during this week's episode and was confronted in the ring by Deonna Purrazzo. Prior to the Virtuosa's interruption, Trinity spoke about coming to Impact Wrestling to win championships, but both she and Purrazzo had some interesting lines. When Purrazzo spoke about the possibility of Trinity challenging for her Impact Knockouts championship and said that facing her is something the former Naomi wouldn't be able to walk out on. Fans immediately noticed this line as a dig at Trinity's exit from WWE, but the former SmackDown Women's Champion had some zingers of her own. When it was her time to talk, Trinity referenced Purrazzo's own WWE release in April 2020, saying that when she steps in the ring with the Virtuosa, she'll wish you got fired again. Jordynne Grace is next in line for a shot at the Knockouts Championship, something that the Impact star came out to remind both Trinity and Purrazzo of, but it seems to be just a matter of time until the former Naomi gets a shot at the gold. AEW news now is after Britt Baker was attacked during an incident with the Outcasts, a new piece of merchandise has drummed up a ton of controversy for the company. Some have stated that the shirt, which features Baker with a black eye after the attack, alludes to domestic violence, a comparison that the former AEW Women's World Champion vehemently refutes. Sitting down with Sports Illustrated, Baker said that she has been very surprised by the response from some fans and said that it's telling that some fans see her with a black eye and immediately think she is a victim. Baker also called out a double standard from fans, saying that if Chris Jericho had a black eye, he wouldn't be seen as a victim, but that male wrestlers sharing their injuries would be seen as tough and badass. Speaking about the black eye itself, Baker said she knew the risks when she started in the wrestling business and has been asking her makeup artists not to cover it up, as she finds the shiner empowering. It's interesting to think whether fans would be alleging domestic violence if the likes of Jericho, The Elite, or Jon Moxley were the ones wearing a shiner on their shirts, and what do you make to this controversial piece of AEW merchandise? Back to WWE, and after a somewhat shaky start, the Judgement Day has become a hit on the main roster and are consistently given plenty of screen time each week on Raw. During the recent draft, the entire group was selected by the Red Brand, meaning Finn Balor, Rhea Ripley, Dominic Mysterio, and Damian Priest will be a unit going forward, but the group could soon see a fifth member. According to recent reports, WWE has strongly been considering JD McDonough to be a member of the Judgement Day, though plans aren't set in stone just yet. The former Cruiserweight champion was called up to Raw as part of the draft, and sources within WWE have said that Triple H, among other important names, have a very high opinion on the Irish Ace. McDonough has been a part of NXT UK and WWE NXT, and will now be a part of Raw. But do you think he'll make a good fit for the Judgment Day, or would you leave the faction as it is? And we're ending with more from Trinity Fatu, who is ready to take Impact by storm after spending over a decade as part of WWE. As part of the biggest wrestling company in the world, Trinity, like many others, felt under pressure to be the best and wouldn't let herself show any weakness, even at the cost to her own health. Speaking on Busted Open Radio, Trinity revealed that she worked with a torn labrum in her shoulder for over a year, but decided not to tell anyone because she feared losing her spot by being off of TV. After risking her long-term health, Trinity was able to get some time off and arranged for the surgery on her shoulder immediately, and it was during her recovery she was able to reflect on how messed up the situation was. Trinity said that as she recovered, she genuinely thought she'd never wrestle again and made sure to thank her family for supporting her through a recovery and personal crisis. Thankfully, Trinity is in a much better headspace now and is looking ahead to her future with Impact, but it goes to show how much pressure some superstars are under to not lose their spot on TV.